Let's go.
Did you watch? Please tell me you watched.
I did. Yes.
Did you, JJ? We're on episode of 346 of We Were Gamers. Did you watch it?
I saw the thing, but only the thing.
Oh, you didn't click on it?
Click. I watched the skit.
Okay. Oh, okay. That's what I meant.
I didn't
thought
see the whole show.
No,
the skit.
The whole show was funny, but the skit was the best part of the show. I watched it because Pedro. Hello and welcome to episode 346 of We Were Gamers, a podcast where JJ.
Yes, hello,
Michael.
I'm still here.
And well, you've returned. And I'm Andy, and we forget to intro and instead start talking about hilarious dystopian versions of video game TV shows. I honestly would be more excited to watch that Mario Kart show than the Last of Us show.
People say the Last of Us show is very good, but I just have no interest.
I don't
know why.
I don't think that's a value judgment based on something I haven't seen, right? I haven't watched that show. I'm just saying, if you forced me to sit down and watch a trailer for The Last of Us, and you forced me to sit down and watch that trailer for Mario Kart from Saturday Night Live, I guarantee you I have interest in one over the other.
Yeah.
What happens if you fall off the road?
I'm going to get you to the Rainbow Road. That's so good.
It was very funny.
Man, but I don't watch a ton of Saturday Night Live, but that must have been one of their best skits in a while, because wow, that was pretty amazing.
I think I didn't realize how much they have an effects team. I guess they spend money.
They must have spent some money on that, because they
don't use them very often, but yeah, every once in a while they'll pull them out for something big,
some sort of marquee. Yeah. All right, JJ, we have to tell you a slight story and give you a question at the beginning of this podcast that you have roughly 30 minutes to answer at a maximum.
Okay, I'm going to start the timer, or wait for the story first, then start the timer?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
It's rough. You can interrupt the podcast at any time after this question and say that you have the answer. Okay. Do you have a number 2 pencil and graph paper?
Yeah, no, I'm not doing that.
Get your TI-83 out.
All right. Yeah, sure.
Michael was kind enough to come over for dinner. My daughter has been exposed recently. My oldest has been exposed recently to video games in a more holistic sense. Not just dad plays video games, but video games creep in at school. Other kids are playing them, and we've been busting out some DOS games we've talked about on this podcast. She's played some of the super solvers like Treasure Mountain, and she played Oregon Trail this past weekend. And she made the point that I also want to play some other types of games. I was like, okay, try Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, and she loves it. She's only beaten one level. It takes her a long time, but we all go through,
tough, man. Yeah,
dude, we all go through this phase.
You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, we all go through this phase, right, where there's nothing I can really do to help her other than let her get reps in, right? So she laid on Michael that her favorite game is Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, because she knows 5 games. We're introducing them slowly. The world is small. My other one's favorite game is Excite Bike, because it was one of the easier ones for her to control.
Man, that's a real choice. Excite Bike.
The deep pull.
I had to find something with here's the controls, up and down.
Oh no! Yeah, I'm not judging you for introducing the game to the kids.
Yeah.
You don't know what you don't know, and maybe there's a lot here they don't know. They're picking an Excite Bike.
We all gotta start.
Champion speedrunner in learning. He's gonna learn that she really loves Excite Bike. Could be.
So she squares Michael up across the table, looks him dead in the eyes, and says, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze is my favorite game. Michael, what's your favorite game?
No qualifier. Just what's your favorite video game?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no.
Michael, to my surprise, was teed up. Michael had the record ready to go. And he goes, Breath of Fire 2.
Breath of Fire 2?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
So here begins the debates.
No, here begins the story. And I wanted to do the intro, but Michael gets to take it from here.
So Andy made a joke about Breath of Fire 2 being clearly the best of the four. And
I don't know if that's true.
Oh, we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah, okay. To be fair, I don't know, man. I haven't played any of those games in a very long time, and I don't know if I played 4 ever.
Okay.
So
we riffed on that for a second, and then I posed the same question to Andy.
Whoopsie doodle.
Not realizing what box I had just opened.
I was just about to say 90 paralyzing
minutes later,
decision.
90 minutes later.
90. Well, I think we were in the office 90 minutes later.
Yeah.
I think.
Had you actually settled on what your final choice was?
I think we settled into the fact that there were too many ideas for how you could pick, and so in the office, I finally just said, "You know what? I think it might be StarCraft."
Okay.
It doesn't feel right, but it also seems to be the only answer I can think of that fits most of the criteria that we were also discussing that could mean favorite game. I don't think there's any criteria per person that defines favorite game for everyone, right? Like Michael just said, hands down, he could pick it up and play it no matter what. I wouldn't necessarily choose certain games to play on a desert island. I don't think certain games have the best graphics. There's certain games I don't think are my favorite that I've played more than others. It's just nothing really fit the bill until I really kind of settled on like StarCraft seems to fit most of the criteria for things that I couldn't decide on. So it's a decision by default, maybe.
This is such a tough thing to decide. I can understand why this is a tough thing to decide if you don't have like a clear-cut winner, because it comes down to your personal choice, right?
Sure.
And
Absolutely.
you may or may not prefer certain types of games, certain styles, certain things over other things, have certain memories about some games that make them more or make you more interested in them than others, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So you get some time because it took me
I think
a
I have
long
like
time.
3 that I'm going to have to pick between now. And I don't know how I would ever possibly decide this. So I'm gonna have to...
But a child has asked you and you must answer.
Yep.
Yeah. I never told her. I think that I finally decided.
No,
she had gone to bed.
She had to go to bed.
Leave the parents a mystery to the children.
That's a good point, JJ. Yeah. Well, while you're discussing that, we have some interesting component class to do today. And they're mostly fiddly component classes because we've entered the fiddly phase of things. None of us are building a computer, thank God, right now. Although, Michael, did you see the review for that new Fractal case? Whew.
No, I didn't.
Oh, yeah. The Fractal North seems to be giving the Meshify a run for its money. The Torrent still seems to be doing the best, and the Lian Li Landcool seems to be doing the best. But it stormed out the gate with some wood and leather and weird-looking sides and all sorts of stuff going on. Don't build a computer over it, though. Anyway, there's no single component to take on today. There is, however, let's say the first one is troubleshooting.
Always an
Michael,
important skill when building a computer.
Yeah, troubleshooting is an important skill at all times with a computer when you have built your own. Building or not building.
Yeah, or any computer.
Building or using, right? You know? And keen rememberers of this podcast will have a memory of 2 weeks ago when I bumped a red box on my desk that connects my microphone to my computer, and it blew out all the audio on my computer. we've had a similar issue that now I think means I can't ignore that there might be an issue somewhere. Today I was plugging in a USB-C cable and my speakers popped.
Ooh, that sounds not good.
Got to be
Yeah.
grounding, right?
It's got to be
You would think
grounding,
so.
right?
Yeah.
So just so people know, speakers popping is a function of power, right? Like it's a interruption or over spiking is the easiest way to describe what's going on. Speakers work based on variations in voltages of sine waves and all that, right? I don't know the best way to describe this.
Yeah, it's I like grounding is such a weird
especially
concept.
with digital speakers, not analog speakers.
Yeah.
Anywho, popping sounds in general tend to come from grounding issues or power related issues. We thought we had got the popping because another audio device had been disconnected from the USB hub and went through the audio. It's not a DAC that's built into the computer. What is it? It's what do they call that? The audio portion of your motherboard.
Oh, okay. Like the what is that thing? I know what
Yeah.
you're talking about. The little
Yeah.
chips and stuff on the side that do audio processing.
Yeah, it's the audio chipset that does the audio processing. It's not a DAC, but it's something else. See, this is why we're talking. Anyway.
Yeah, those things take digital signals, so no, they're not DACs, right? They expect
Right.
digital already by the time it gets there.
Yeah, digital analog converter would be a DAC. So the problem, however, seems like it might be related to a USB hub situation if I'm plugging in a USB-C cable on the front of the case and the speakers plugged into the back of the case pop. However, the thing that caused the problem before is also still plugged into the computer. So component class today is not necessarily JJ Michael solve my issue right here live on the podcast. The component class today is, hey, y'all, we are our own IT departments. And how do you go about solving an issue like this that might just be fine to leave alone, but also maybe would be better solved, right? Like there is a chance plugging something into a USB, if it is a USB problem, could damage something if there's a grounding issue.
Yeah, or you risk it, the minimum, the chance of burning out either the USB
or speakers
hub or the USB controller on the motherboard potentially.
Yeah.
Or, any other number of things. I think the important thing to figure out first, rather than trying to since you have so many different parts here.
Yeah.
You can, the brute force method, I like to call it, which is write out the truth table, right? It's all the cables across the top and on and off, right?
Yeah.
And try every single combination to figure out which ones work and which ones don't. That's the brute force method. You can do that. It will work. You will find the combination that fixes it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a hassle. The
Right,
better
sure.
thing is there maybe apply Occam's razor here, and maybe there's just one problem, and the problem is the case.
Oh, you think it's not grounded to the case?
The case or the motherboard is not grounded, right? And so as a result, everything is not grounded.
Oh,
interesting.
I would not have thought to
this would
start
be a electrical. What's the floating ground? Isn't the right word? I don't know what the right word is. I didn't do good in my electrical engineering classes, but I know enough to be dangerous.
Shouldn't a case be grounding?
Well, you want the case to be ground, but that doesn't mean that it is, unless you have done that.
The power supply does that.
Yeah, you would hope, right?
It should.
It should, depending on how your power is coming from the wall or other things. Those grounds may not be meeting where they should, right?
Huh. Okay. So you'd think instead to work beginning at the larger source of the problem rather than the minutia source of the problem, plug something in somewhere else and see if it does it over time. That's the other one of these things is, do you have time to do things over time, right? I have a story for another time not this podcast, but about like an expanding battery. Like in that case, you don't have time. You need to like deal with an expanding battery. But like this issue clearly has not burnt out my motherboard. It doesn't happen daily. Do I have time to take my time?
Which is going to make doing some of the approaches more or less feasible, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, when solving any problem, honestly, this can apply, right? If you look to see if there's like a potential root source for many different potential weird issues, right? Because you said it sometimes affects things in the front, sometimes it affects things in the back. And that leads me to think it's an overall thing as opposed to just like this one panel or just this one USB connector. But it could also be, right? I guess it's very hard to know, right?
Yeah.
We're not planning to break out multimeters and stuff here, right? Like
I was just gonna ask if he had one handy.
it could be useful. It would be for testing. And I mean, look, you'll figure stuff out very quick. You try to touch something and you see sparks, you'll know.
What am I? Wait. So what would I be trying to touch with what?
Well, if you think that something isn't grounded, right,
Okay.
you can measure between a point that you know should have voltage and the ground, and it should read some number, right? Like if if the I don't know, like the USB power line is supposed to be 5 volts, I think.
Think so.
Usually.
It's
So
on a 5-volt rail.
if you touch that one and you touch your ground wherever the ground is, and it reads 5, you're good. If you
You're
touch the
talking about
ground,
pulling apart cables to touch things like USB.
you'd be touching the pins on the cables, right?
Like a USB cable, just plug in a USB cable and run a multimeter into that? I'm a little confused as to what I would be accomplishing here.
You'd be determining that the ground works, right? It's like, oh, okay, is this thing grounded? Like, does the ground actually work, or is it some non-grounded value? Because if you read the multimeter and it says 5 volts or whatever it's supposed to say, the ground is working, right? But if you read it and it says something other than 5 volts, and assuming the thing is on and yada yada, but like if you get like 3.3 or 4.7, something is up, right? And the ground has just enough of not ground on it that it's not grounded all the way out that could cause potential problems.
So a motherboard's usually grounded through the case from the power supply by touching the screws to the case through the motherboard. So
like, did you outfit rubber grommets on screws? That seems like something you might have done.
Oh. Good question.
Could that prevent the transmission of electricity across those screws if those were the only points? Maybe. But also, like, there's no proof that that's even the thing.
Sure.
Right? So, like, and especially with audio stuff, right? Like, audio is, I guess I'm thinking analog audio more, but like, analog audio is finicky because so many things can affect it, right?
Right.
And the problems you're having here are digital, but they really seem like it's once it connects to the computer, right? Like they don't have issues before or after. It's only when that plug-in happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is the point when the connection is being made and when you would see a problem, right? Like a transfer or I wonder, impedance? No. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
It's
so when you're operating on an assumption, right? We all had an immediate assumption. Right? It's grounding. It's got to be grounding as our first all assumption. Starting big, sometimes start with the biggest things. Is the cable going? Change the plug port, right? Go to a different spot on the surge protector. Make sure the case isn't the motherboard's not connected with rubber. Stuff like that is the big stuff to try first. Interesting. Okay. Are you interrupting or are we moving on?
No, not yet. I'm still thinking.
Okay. All right. Michael?
Yeah.
I don't understand GitHub. Explain it to me.
Oh, I don't know if I understand it to explain it either.
Ah, well, hello, it's me, the
Oh,
GitHub user.
the professorial hat has come out.
So JJ, I ran into an issue today. Archive.org has a zip it now feature, which is very nice. They'll zip stuff for you if that's somewhat large and put it all into a full zip file, and you can download it as one big thing.
That's convenient.
Yeah. Once you hit like 100 something gigabytes, though, they will no longer do that. I don't particularly want to torrent something. The biggest suggestion that I could find was to do wget, which is a GitHub program that people have made.
Does wget GIT or WGET?
WGET.
Okay. Does
Which
it
I think
actually
is
use GitHub?
Well, so I think the scripts do. Like you can write your own wget with
Yeah, okay. That makes
Python or
sense.
whatever.
I think wget just gets anything from a web server, and you can get whatever you want. Okay, that makes sense then. And so this one isn't getting something from GitHub somewhere.
Well, so GitHub has they say get wget2, which is some sort of pile of scripts that they've turned into a program, so you can just sort of tell it where to go and it'll do stuff for you without you having to write Python scripts.
Yeah.
With the wget command. But when I go to GitHub to figure that out, I just see a bunch of files that doesn't explain what the heck I'm looking at.
Yeah, but like, what are you trying to do? That's the real question.
This is why there's a disconnect between the people that create and use GitHub and the rest of us.
You just want to like generically know how to download some files from GitHub? That doesn't seem very useful.
No,
Like
that's
you would
what I'm
need to know
saying.
which files specifically you're looking for.
Right. So the wget2, right? That was the specific example I was using. They have a giant repository. There's 500 files in the wget2 repository. So how do you know what to do with it and how it works and all that sort of stuff?
I mean, are you trying to use wget2 to get something else?
Yeah. To be able to download things in a sequence from a web page, right? Like, let's say you have a bunch of PDF files that have been uploaded to a web page and they're just hyperlinked there. You click each one to download them, or you could get wget to download 500 of them.
I see what you're saying. Okay, gotcha.
But when people just point you to places and they're like, it's here on this thing. And it's like, that's cool. I see all the parts of a V8 motor on the ground here. How do I put it together so I can use it?
I mean, the answer to this is like Linux commands and scripting. You don't like that answer, but that's kind of what it is. I think the real answer for you is if you want something specifically from GitHub, is that what we're talking about here? GITHUB?
That's where they said to go to find this wget scripts so that I could use it on archive.org to download a list of things.
Got it. I see. Okay. So the actual thing itself is not on GitHub. Because I was going to tell you that GitHub, you can just has a button somewhere that will allow you to download the entire project of whatever it is as like one big thing, whether it's a zip or a tar or.
So where is that? Yeah, I don't even see that sometimes.
There's a button on the webpage somewhere that does that.
Yeah.
But it just gets you all the pieces of the thing. Right? That doesn't help you use the thing to do something else.
Right.
For that, you need to read their documentation and do what they say and probably know a little bit of programming, unfortunately.
Okay. So GitHub is for programmers is the answer to my question.
I mean, GitHub is a storage for code. That's what it's for.
So
it
Michael
stores code.
Michael, back in layman's territory with us, have you ever had to do something like this where it's like 500 PDF documents you need to download, and do you have a solution?
No.
Interesting.
I've never really had occasion to need to like consolidate something of that size.
Supposedly, like Firefox and Chrome have extensions for something called download managers where you can point them at them. I'm anti-extension in general.
I was going to say someone has had this problem and probably automated it that way, but I understand being anti the extensions.
You never know what they're doing. I never know what she's doing back there. You know? More meatloaf.
Ignore the man behind the curtain mining cryptocurrency on your computer.
More meatloaf. Okay. All right. So, not knowing what people are doing behind the curtain, Michael, you know what this is about.
Oh, I think I do. Are we kicking down our own logo, breaking the fourth wall?
Spoiler alert before we get going here, in case anybody cares about She-Hulk spoilers.
I think I have to pick Baldur's Gate 2.
You did it.
There it is.
I was the interruption. I like it. There it is. Baldur's Gate 2.
Yeah, Shadows of Om. I think I have to. Although, like, I wish I could categorize it and pick like a couple different ones for different categories.
So, Michael, I was wrong.
But-
He landed on my side of the fence on the, I'm going to say there's 9 answers, but we were both right that he was faster than me by quite a bit.
Yeah, I think I only have like 2 or 3 I would want to pick overall as favorites. But I
What
think
were
if I
your-
have to pick a single one, it would be that one.
What were your others?
If I could divide it into like PC and console games, then it would still be Baldur's Gate 2. And then I could pick like, I don't know, like Suikoden 2 or like Final Fantasy 7 or something for like console games.
See,
Sure.
this is where Michael started hitting me with like, but what about Civilization?
Yeah. So like I get that. And if I had to pick a Civ, it would be the one that like I played the most of and liked the most. And that'd probably be 5.
Oh,
And I think I still would pick Baldur's Gate 2 over that one.
I had a really hard time saying not Civ 3 because I played Civ 3 for years. Civ 5 too.
I played a lot of Civ 5
Oh yeah.
and not as much
Yeah.
4 for whatever reason. I don't know.
4 just fell off as soon as Civ 5 came out. It was like, this is better, you know?
Yeah, I just don't know why that one worked, but I think that would be how I would do it. And then then if you could subdivide it more and pick different ones out of different genres that get like Mario in there and Zelda and some other stuff and gosh knows. But yeah, I think if I have to do that, that's what I have to pick. In the childlike way, I have to evaluate things childlike. And
In the most,
just give
in
an
the
answer.
most, yeah, you can't. You have to just give her an answer. Baldur's Gate 2. All right,
Baldur's Gate 2, Shadows of Om.
there it is.
All right.
And I did
Interesting.
like the expansion, but yeah, I
Two-
mean,
2 PC games in the top 3 here.
Yeah.
it reflects, the games I played a lot when I was a kid. It was like those early kind of era PC games and PS1 RPGs.
Yeah, StarCraft, buddy. I don't know what you're talking about.
I played quite a lot of StarCraft too. I'm not like also StarCraft 2, but StarCraft also.
StarCraft as well.
Yes, but all 3 choices from a formative time in our lives.
Like 95 to when is Baldur's Gate 2?
Yeah, Baldur's Gate 2 was early 2000, 98? Maybe it was 98.
And let's see, original StarCraft would be like 90.
2000
Nine?
Baldur's Gate 2. Baldur's Gate 2. 2000.
StarCraft's like 99 maybe on release.
StarCraft 2
98?
or
No,
original
StarCraft 1. Original StarCraft.
StarCraft 1 I think was
It's gotta be
96 or 97. I think Brood War was 98, which is the important thing.
Okay. Well, and then Breath of Fire 2 is like 94, 95.
90,
Like mid-95.
95, almost 96 for North America.
Okay. So interesting little, we're all the same age and we all picked games roughly the same time.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Yeah, Suikoden 2 is 95 also.
Yeah.
So
Makes sense. Well, kick down the logo, Michael. Break into your TV. Walk through Disney Plus.
We finished our Marvel TV series catch up with the last few episodes of She-Hulk that we hadn't seen yet. It was it felt to me for all what happened was
I'm having a great time.
it felt to me for a lot of the season like it was sort of tongue-in-cheek, like, hey, we're setting something up, you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Stick around because we're setting something up. And you just sort of felt like you were waiting for the other shoe to drop, like, okay, get on with it. I don't know. Maybe that was me.
I think I enjoyed that it itself pokes fun at the obvious Marvel plot line of everything is a setup for something that all pays off in one big thing at the end.
Yes.
That said, I don't know how successful it was at doing that.
I think it was tongue in cheek enough that we got it before the like, how long can them trolling during the ending go on?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah,
like,
they had brought you into the gag enough that you were willing to go along for the whole ride.
like the gag was a good amount of the gag all the way through it, right? There was a lot of making fun of, I mean, they made fun of Hulk, they made fun of Abomination, they made fun of Wonger. Wongers. They did a good job of poking fun at Marvel and poking fun at the people that are too serious and poking fun at the people that are hoping everything is some sort of master plan payoff. I don't necessarily think I disliked it, but at the end I was just kind of like, okay. Interesting that we're like hitting an actual reset button and not just like walking back into the show and being like,
They kind of undercut their own finale.
They definitely
by doing
undercut,
this, right?
seemed
And
like they
so-
undercut their own finale a little bit. Yeah.
And so you get to the end and then you're like, oh, okay, well, the stakes, like they didn't care. You clearly didn't care about the stakes. Why do I have to? Right. And all of a sudden you're just kind of like, oh, okay. Like, the entire, I don't know, not the entire time, but for a lead up in that part, right? She keeps talking about like, I just want to do this like little lawyer show thing. Like that's the whole thing that they're constantly talking about, right? She doesn't want to be this superhero. She doesn't want to do all this stuff. She just wants to do a little lawyer show. And so that if that's their premise, and this is the end, right? That she just did her little lawyer show, and so then doesn't have the big Marvel fight scene at the end, like, okay, but it does. You thought there were stakes and there were not, right?
Yeah. And I will say that I thought Tatiana Maslany was a perfect choice for that.
She did great. It was cool for side characters, and it was definitely held up by personalities that didn't get enough attention in other instances, especially like Tim Roth. The guy's an amazing character actor, right?
I think that's part of my, again, part of the issue with Marvel overall, right? Is that they suck at developing the villains. And so when cool actors sign on and play villains, you don't get to see a lot of them because Marvel sucks at letting the villains have stories.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons why Black Panther is one of the better movies.
Oh, because
100%.
of Killmonger?
Yeah, because he's not just the villain thrown in there to be beaten by the hero, right? He has a backstory and actual stakes, and you kind of feel for him for where he's coming from, if not the way he's going about it.
Yeah, I can see that. Black Panther does a lot of things right after a movie previous to it, where there's a lot of like needing to get characters places. Like a lot of Marvel tends to be, and maybe this didn't happen in She-Hulk, and maybe that's part of what made it good. Marvel seems to need to get characters places.
But
We're going to have
this
to
is
use this movie to move this person from there to there, or to have something happen to them.
Yeah, I mean, this is the problem with having a planned story arc for the whole quote unquote universe, right? Is that you have to, if you know the pieces and where things have to go, they have to get from A to B. And if you don't have a good logical story and way for them to get from A to B all the time, then you get what happens, right?
You're gonna see those strings being pulled.
Well, speaking of strings, JJ, can you set up like tripwires, or do you often use a garrote? What type of strings are there to utilize in Hitman 3?
Yeah, I mean, stethoscopes are pretty good as
that
like
a
a fiber
string?
wire. It is in this game.
Huh. Okay.
You can look. So I've been playing Hitman 3, but more specific than Hitman 3, I've been playing the new Freelancer mode.
What the heck is that?
You guys, I think Hitman 3 is on Game Pass. You should go play this thing.
I'm looking right now. You continue.
Hitman 3. First off, they changed the name of the game. It's not Hitman 3 anymore. It's called Hitman World of Assassination because you get Hitman 1 and Hitman 2 now for free as part of the thing. There's just all three together, all in one thing.
Okay.
They don't, no, it's not separated anymore. Great.
Huh. Why'd they do that?
So the answer to that is so that they can do this, which is Hitman roguelike.
Okay, so there's two things I see in front of me here. There's Hitman 3. There's Hitman Free Starter. And there's Hitman World of Assassination.
World of Assassination. Just get that. Don't need anything else.
Huh.
I mean, well, I don't know. You have Game Pass. You get all of it. I don't know. You figure out how it works. But so Freelancer is this new mode that they added that utilizes all the maps across all the Hitman games and creates a roguelike out of it. You play, obviously, as 47, the Hitman guy. You have a safe house that you go back to in between missions where you're unlocking cool furniture, you're unlocking like new weapons and items, you're unlocking guns, you're unlocking... So you unlock all these various things, but crucially, so in like the normal Hitman games, you go into a map, the targets are preset. The targets have, you have to kill this specific person, you have to kill this other specific person, and you have to get out, right? And those are usually the ways, or maybe you have to take this item and then you kill this person. Sort of pretty basic type of objectives. But meanwhile, there's like 10,000 other people on these maps going around doing their little programmed lives. And this takes advantage of all of that. And the target can be, they give some like intro, like, the syndicate criminal networks have really gotten out of hand and anyone could be doing it. It could be anyone, anywhere. Who knows? And so then they're just justifying why like a random person on the street turns out to be your Hitman target now. But
okay.
But it is. And you go into this map and it could be anywhere. It could be any person on the map is now your target. You have to figure out how to kill them and get out, right? Or potentially 2 or 3 or
how does
more
that play
targets,
into
right?
the previous games being part of this?
Because you get to use the maps from the previous games, right? You can go to Sapienza from Hitman 1. You can go to Argentina from Hitman 2.
Didn't those games have stories though?
Yeah, but the stories don't matter in this mode, right? It's just anyone.
Yeah, you're just using the map that already exists.
Okay, so when it says you get Hitman 1, 2, and 3, you're not actually playing Hitman 1, 2, and 3 stories.
Well,
you're playing the maps
you could
only.
though. The stories exist, right? As you could play the story mode, and those campaigns are all still there. You can still play those maps that way. In Freelancer mode, though, you're not doing any of that.
Okay.
In Freelancer mode, you have you have a little world map in front of you. You get a choice of a few different missions. You pick one. It gives you a list of objectives, like optional objectives that earn you money. Be a silent assassin, which means no one can spot you, or don't use any guns, or poison the target, or use an explosive, or all these various different potential objectives, right? You complete any of those objectives. Also, there's some payout just for completing the mission in whatever way. You get back, you get the money. Money can be used during your progress of your campaign to buy guns, to buy weapons, to buy tools. If you, I really want to have a lockpick, right? Okay, I can buy a lockpick from a dealer. Crucially, though, all the dealers are in the maps, so you have to go find them while you're on a mission. Did you just shoot a guy and you're running away? Do you have time to stop at this dealer and ask him if he has sweet guns? Like, maybe not, right? And when you fail your campaign mission, and there's a few different ways to fail, but when you fail the campaign mission, you lose half your money. Also, if you die on a map, all the stuff you brought with you is gone. Did you bring a fiber wire with you? Did you bring a
Okay.
gun?
So it's
Did you bring all these other things? You just lost
it's
them all.
what do they call it? It's a Tarkov like.
I mean, it's a roguelike, right?
Well, but no,
There's
yes
nothing-
and no, right? It's like if you finish the map, you get to keep all that stuff, right? And then you
Yes.
could bring it to the next map. So this is a Tarkov like where it could be a lot lighter version of it, but the DMZ in the new Warzone is like this, where it's like
And so
you have a
it's-
bunch of missions on a map, you get to take in a loadout of stuff, and if you die, you lose it.
Yes.
And then you have a main base. In the main base, you get to change up what you're taking on the next mission, find out what your
Yes.
missions are, etc.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
You you don't get to keep everything you bring back from a mission, right?
Yeah.
You may
Mhm.
bring back scissors, you may bring back certain kinds of guns, and those are not you can't bring back to your base. But all the guns and items that you can bring back usually have labels on them, and if you see ones that have rarity tags like common, rare, epic, legendary, you can bring those ones back and you can keep them at your base and put them up on your sweet wall of guns or whatever until you decide to take them down and use them again. But once you take, once you have brought it back, if you take it out with you again and you die, it's gone.
Is gone.
And that includes ones you get as like rewards for leveling up, right? Oh, I leveled up to level 14 and I unlocked a sweet golden silenced assault rifle. Awesome. I die in a mission with that rifle. It's gone. Now,
Can you do what they do in all these other versions of this, where you can like insure them or
no,
do stuff like that? So if you lose it, it's like you can recover it.
There is no way to get it back except to find it at a dealer and buy it again.
So it's equipment permadeath.
Yes. And you lose half your money when you fail. You can fail a single mission, right? But you don't necessarily instantly fail the whole campaign. But when you fail a mission, the other missions now get harder, right? It says, oh, like the syndicate is alerted to your presence, and so there are going to be more guards, more people that can see through disguises. People are going to be faster to pull the trigger on you and just like start shooting when they see something is up, rather than let you sneak away or whatever. It's tough, man. But it's really, really cool. Really cool. Because this is like the infinite Hitman generator, right? Where these maps before were like so fun to play around with because there were always so many interesting, like scripted ways you could kill these
But I
things.
remember you said out loud that you wish you could just play the maps with different missions.
Yes. Well, here we are, right?
We are, yeah.
Like, it was so cool that you could kill this guy who was the golf pro like 5 different ways, and they had these cool story kills and stuff like that. Well, you don't get any of that with this, but you have to kill the guy who is the caterer to the party, and he just walks back and forth in a banquet room with 10,000 people. You figure out how you're going to kill that guy without anybody noticing, right? And to my understanding, there is always a way, but it just may not be, easy.
Are these all scripted in so much as a person wrote them, not scripted by the computer, but like,
no,
or are
it's
they all
it's
randomly
random.
generated?
The maps themselves are the maps, so they're not like generating new placement of people on maps.
I meant the missions and how to accomplish them.
The objectives are randomized from a list, and the maps are the maps, so they can't give you new maps, but they can like give you different sets of maps together, right?
Okay.
Oh, okay.
There are some exceptions to they aren't placing new people on the maps thing. They do sometimes. But if you've played these enough, and once you have died on them enough times, you have learned that like, hey, there are usually people here, and there's no one here. What's up with that? Oh, this guy with this gun is watching me. I'm going to get killed. And then you do, right? Now, next time, you know not to go that way and you walk around, this sort of stuff. But it is a really cool mode. And because, you die and you lose half your money, but like the only thing the money is for is buying guns and items and stuff in mission. Well, like, you don't need to buy any guns if you just take the stuff you want with you, right? What if all I want is the knife and the fiber wire? I got those already at my house. I can just take them. You can always start with a fiber wire. You can always, once you get enough mastery levels, the other fun thing is like outside of the thing, you have your house, right? They call it the safe house. And it's like as you level up, you just unlock more and more furniture and like outdoor like patio areas. I have a boat, I have a helicopter, I have a motorcycle. I could, change the art on all the walls. I can play different kinds of music while I'm walking around. Like why would the Hitman murder guy care about what art he has on his walls? But also like it's a pretty sweet painting. I kind of want to put it up somewhere, And as you're unlocking those things, you'll notice, oh, this when I put this drawer here, or like this set of drawers here, and I open it, oh, there's a baseball in there. I can take that baseball with me on missions now. Oh, this table set has a wine bottle here. I can take that wine bottle with me and throw it at people. Oh, this shed outside has an axe. Oh, there's a knife here, right? Like stuff like that. And so you get like little boosts, but so far, no guns. So like if the thing you liked in this game was shooting people, yeah.
Interesting.
But because of the like weird way it forces you to engage with, like you said, it could just be the random guy in the crowd that is the target now. Like you really have to engage with all the weird systems the game has in order to get that guy somewhere that you can murder them without the entire group and the entire party seeing you. So it's been really, really cool. I'm digging it.
Well, I'm going to hit this download button as soon as we don't ruin the podcast by slowing down my internet.
That's
Man,
probably smart.
We did not get, I have even more stuff we have not gotten to talk a bunch. I have so many component class questions for you guys, but we'll save them for next time. We'll save them. Hopefully there's an update for you, and we all find out it was grounding. We'll have some cool videos of maybe how do we get Baldur's Gate 2 in there? Yeah. On youtube.com/what?
At We Were Gamers.
Yeah. We also have a podcast. This is like not just a video, it's also a podcast. You can download that.
Folks, you want to rate us on all those podcast platforms 5 stars. We are worth it, and so are you.
I like that you've added and so are you.
5-star listeners only to this podcast, we know.
Boom.